Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Jay Czarkowski, founding partner of Canna Advisors, to discuss the potential impact national cannabis legalization could have on our overall economy. Jay, it's great to meet with you. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Jill, it's great to be here.
While the legalization process, it's being made, we see some progress there. Much work is still needed at the Senate level. What's the holdup?
That's a great question. I ask myself that every day. What is the holdup? But the good news is we've certainly come a long way in the last 11 or 12 years. The holdup has typically been certain Senate leaders, House leaders, committee chairs that just are not, into adult use or legalizing cannabis. Now, the good news is a lot of those folks, they're not in power anymore. Mitch McConnell was very well known under the Trump administration historically, was against even introducing the MORE Act, which would basically make cannabis legal. He was against introducing that in the Senate. Well, there's a new sheriff in town, of course, now. And I think it's pretty clear that Chuck Schumer, one of his priorities, along with other senators now, is to get the MORE Act moved forward and to get some type of adult use legalization or quasi-legalization, make it happen in 2021.
What could the economic impact of federal legalization mean to the United States?
Well, the potential impacts are huge. I mean, first and foremost, there are business opportunities. And right now there are business opportunities at the state level. Well, once interstate commerce is allowed, an example of that is if I make a product here in Colorado, it's a great product, great brand, I want to sell that product in Arizona, I have to go to Arizona, apply for a whole new license. I have to manufacture that product under a completely different set of rules potentially, and the packaging and labeling requirements might be different. So it's really hard to roll out a national brand. Legalization on a federal level will make nationwide brands possible and easier to roll out and to build. There's also the opportunity for global export. And I'll mention this really hits me personally. Canada right now is killing us on the global stage when it comes to cannabis. Canada is exporting cannabis all over the world. That should be us. I would say that we certainly know how to grow better cannabis here in the good old USA. There's a lot of other economic impacts too. Let's talk about taxes, right? I think a lot of states right now, cannabis tax is part of their COVID recovery plan. I will mention that Colorado, which is a state of only 5 million people, since we passed adult use, the state of Colorado has collected over 1 billion just in taxes. So there's a lot of tax opportunities for the states, certainly for the federal government. And let's talk about jobs, not just jobs in the sector, growing it, making the products and selling it, but all the support jobs. The amount of infrastructure that will have to be built in all these different states to produce that much cannabis, not just for Americans, but to export globally, it's going to be billions and billions and billions of investment required.
So Jay, let's discuss what the local business and economic impact could be with states like my home state, New Jersey, or South Dakota.
So the funny thing about New Jersey, and it's wonderful that finally New Jersey did pass adult use. I know your governor wanted to do that 3 years ago, but ran into some issues. But New Jersey, let's face it, right? It already has a, $500 million cannabis industry. It's just that it's illicit. It's not regulated. It's not licensed. It's not taxed. So the demand is certainly there. In Colorado, when we began to build an industry 10 years ago, real estate was in the tank. And I can tell you that, the cannabis industry, it really pulled real estate up in Colorado. There were jobs created, not just again in the industry, but all of the support jobs to build these facilities. So the economic impact in New Jersey is going to be jobs. It's going to be taxes, for attorneys, for, tax people, for electricians, plumbers, carpenters, everybody. And let's face it, the real opportunities, there are going to be those that build a cannabis business in New Jersey, and it's a life-changing financial opportunity for them. Now, not everyone's going to make money, just like anything else. I could tell you that cannabis is not instant riches, but just like any other industry, if you get in, you build a good business, good brand, you take care of your customers, and you work hard, you can make some life-changing money and really make a difference for your family.
And what's the impact to surrounding states?
That is really my favorite question, because I've always referred to New Jersey as the big domino, right? Massachusetts passed adult use, sure, back in 2016, but it's been a slow rollout. It's a really cumbersome, difficult state. They still don't have that much of an industry built. But when New Jersey passes, I always said, New York is not going to want to be left behind. Neither is Maryland, neither is Connecticut, neither is Pennsylvania. So, I mean, you're already seeing this, right? Governor Cuomo is talking about finally making it happen. Governor Wolf in Pennsylvania, he says he's going to make it happen. Connecticut. So I think we're going to see a lot of states in the Northeast follow suit very quickly.
And finally, for the Trade Talks audience, this is what we care about. What does this mean for cannabis stocks, which have had an incredible run since the March lows?
They really have. When I saw those March lows, I personally know a lot of these CEOs, and they're great companies, and I just could not believe how low these stock prices went. And at least up until yesterday, some of these stocks were up, 4 or 5, almost 600% since the March low. Some profit taking going on today, but that's okay. That's normal. But I'll say this, I'll say this, Jill. This industry is still in its infancy. There is still a lot of upside, even though you have a certain number of states that have a quote unquote medical marijuana program or adult use. I'll use New York as an example, and New Jersey. They've had medical programs now for, 6 to 8 years, 8 years for Jersey at least. They're tiny programs. They don't serve the needs of the population. So there is so much upside yet ahead. Now, I do believe that the current, prices of some of these cannabis stocks already reflect possible legalization and possible, growth on a national scale. But there's a lot of upside left, for these companies. And there's a lot of smaller to mid-sized companies coming up where there will be opportunities. And I'll guarantee there are going to be some giants, some public giants in the cannabis space that we haven't even heard of yet.
All right, Jay, appreciate the insight. Look forward to having you back to talk about some of those companies. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.